Hey there, hi there, ho there, my name is Thomas and welcome to the Second Star channel, the only channel on YouTube that combines the wonders of Disney with the artistic styles of jazz music. Today, I will be covering the history on one of the biggest turning points of the Walt Disney Company. Of course, I'm referring to the Disney animator strike of 1941. Without further ado, here we go. The economic turmoil of the Great Depression led to a significant rise of labor unions in the United States, including the Screen Actors Guild in the motion picture industry, which was formed in 1933. Later that decade, the animators of Fleischer Studios went on strike in 1937 when Max Fleischer fired 15 employees, all of whom were part of the American Art Union. The Fleischer strike was eventually resolved by the formation of the Screen Cartoonists Guild in 1938. The leader of the guild was Herbert Sorrell. Sorrell secured contracts with Terry Toons, Walter Lantz Productions, Screen Gems, George Pal, and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Leon Schlesinger Productions, producer of the popular Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons for Warner Brothers, attempted a lockout but gave in to the union after the employees went on strike. Upon signing the union contract, Schlesinger asked, "What about Disney?" Disney artists were the best paid and worked under the best conditions in the industry. In the early days of the studio, Walt Disney gave 20% of the profits from the short cartoons to his employees as bonuses. However, in 1936, Disney suspended this practice. After the success of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937, Disney started construction on a new spacious studio in Burbank, California. He began moving his staff there from his old studio on Hyperion Avenue in December 1939. At the new Burbank studio, a rigid hierarchy system was in place with departments and segregated buildings that were more heavily policed by Disney administrators. Employee benefits such as access to gymnasium, steam room, and restaurant, as well as spacious and luxurious offices were reserved for top writers and animators. In 1940, due to box office failures of Pinocchio and Fantasia, which I will talk about in a future video, Disney was forced to make layoffs, although Walt Disney rarely involved himself in the actual hiring and firing of individual employees unless at the top of the pay chain. By this time, the pay structure at Disney Studio had become very disorganized, with some high-ranking animators earning as much as $200 to $300 a week, while low-ranking employees made as little as $12 a week. Many of the employees started to grumble and join the Screen Cartoonists Guild, including Art Babbitt, one of Disney's highest-paid animators. Art Babbitt was sympathetic to low-ranking employees and openly disliked Walt. However, Walt Disney was oblivious to his employees' complaints. He viewed them as a family and saw no problem in high-ranking animators getting privileges and low-ranking employees receiving none, as he thought they would be grateful to him for providing the new studio space. After all, the new space came with sleeping quarters, so no one ever had to leave the property. As the biggest and most successful animation studio, Disney was an obvious target for the Screen Actors Guild. Herbert Sorrell approached Walt and aggressively demanded that he become a union shop. Disney refused as he felt he had the right to run his own studio as he saw fit. In February 1941, Disney decided to make his case to the men and women working for him and gathered all 1,200 employees in his auditorium and gave the following speech. I will try my best impression of Walt Disney for this. In the 20 years I've spent in this business, I've weathered many storms. It's been far from easy sailing. It required a great deal of work, struggle, determination, competence, faith, and above all, unselfishness. Some people think we have a class distinction in this place. They wonder why some people get better seats in the theater than others. They wonder why some men get spaces in the parking lot and others don't. I've always felt, and always will feel, that the men that contribute most to the organization should, out of respect alone, enjoy some privileges. My first recommendation to the lot of you is this. Put your own house in order. You can't complain a damn thing by sitting around and waiting to be told everything. If you're not progressing as you should, instead of grumbling and growling, do something about it. Much of the staff left the theater infuriated and recruited even more employees to join the Screen Cartoonists Guild. Meanwhile, tensions between Disney and Art Babbitt reached a peak when Babbitt became one of the union leaders, which Walt saw as a personal betrayal. In May 1941, Disney sent a letter of termination to Art Babbitt. This was the final spark that started the strike. The next day, on May 29th, 1941, more than 200 members of the studio staff had walked out on strike. The strike occurred during the making of the animated feature Dumbo, and many strikers are caricatured in the feature as the clowns go to hit the big boss for a raise. During the strike, animators from other studios offered support for the strikers. Animators from Warner Brothers, including Chuck Jones, volunteered their cars to form a motorcade around the Disney studio. The strike lasted a total of 5 weeks. Towards the end, Disney accepted a suggestion by Nelson Rockefeller, then head of Latin American Affairs Office in the State Department, that he should make a tour of Latin America as a goodwill ambassador, which would later result in the package film Saludos Amigos and The Three Caballeros. His removal from the scene enabled passions to cool, and in his absence, the strike was settled with the help of a federal mediator who found the guild's favor on every issue. The Disney Studio signed a contract and has been a union shop ever since. This group of Disney employees, more than 200, are the unsung heroes of history. They knew that there was something institutionally wrong and fought to have their voices heard. And we, the fans of Disney, are eternally grateful for their fight for justice. And that's the theme for February. Heroes of Disney. And there you have it, lost folks. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about the Disney strike of 1941. My community question for this video is, what other significant Disney event should I cover? Let me know in the comments section below. The best comment will be featured in the next video. Like this video if you learned something new. Second Start is on a Sunday-Wednesday schedule, so subscribe and hit that notification bell. And as always, my name is Thomas. Make sure to keep those happy little thoughts, and I will see you in the next video.